Hey there. So today I want to talk a little bit about podcasting. We know that video is huge, but podcasting has power. Now, podcasts have actually been around for a pretty long time. Gosh, like the early 2000s. And even though there seem to be an absolute ton to choose from, not as many as videos, but a lot, it's still a great opportunity if you have something to sell to grow your audience and really establish you as an expert, an industry leader. So let's think about a few things about podcasting, okay? And why it's still a really big opportunity, especially for digital content creators, marketing experts. Back in 2021, there was a study done, and 57% of folks asked in the US had listened to a podcast. That's what they said. And that was 2 years ago. So now, with mobile devices just being so easy to access, podcasts, I mean, they're everywhere. And you have that kind of progression now where podcasters are creating videos of them podcasting. Um, Podcasting is just a big, big business. So, folks are listening, but that means you do have to stand out from the crowd. But if you have a podcast for your audience, that just builds trust and authority. Somebody that finds you and starts listening to you. I mean, it allows your business to really be positioned at a much higher level than your competition, right? You've got to share valuable, relevant information to your target audience, of course, but listeners, you're starting to build a relationship with them, and they tend to trust the opinions of folks that they are listening on podcasts, right? Folks are listening to. So again, building trust, but building authority and expertise in your industry. Now, engagement, of course, is huge. That's like the goal we all are striving for, to get as much engagement as possible. But unlike written content, I mean, podcasts, they offer such a deep personal connection with the audience. Listeners can binge listen and really feel that they know you very quickly. And they can also feel like they're part of the conversation. So that can help create loyalty and grow that relationship with your brand. Now, unlike videos, it's cost effective and easy to produce a podcast episode, right? You're behind the scenes. You don't have to put your makeup on and put nice clothes on or whatever it is that you want to do to look the part on video. All you need is your voice for podcasting. So relatively inexpensive, easy to produce. You can edit your content on software like Audacity that's free. There's loads of browser-based software that you can edit your podcast very inexpensively. So really the only thing that might cost you some money is your microphone, and maybe if you want to put out some bigger bucks on some editing software. But you can really get started very inexpensively just using like the voice isolation setting on your iPhone will create some good audio, good enough for a podcast. Now, you have a flexible format with podcasting. You can set it up however you want. You can discuss a vast range of topics. You can do interviews if you're not too sure, not too confident about filling all that airspace on your own. You can do question and answer sessions, do storytelling episodes, industry news. You could have a podcast that's really like your newsletter, but in audio format. There are so many different ways that you can do podcasting that it's really interesting and gets that creativeness flowing, right? Because you really can just make it your own and do what you want with it, but somebody can very easily know if you're being authentic. And by just hearing you over and over and over again, which happens with the binge listening, like I said, it really builds that relationship fast. So just some tips and tricks for your podcasting success. You want to define your niche. Just with all your marketing, you want to clearly identify your target audience and really provide value for them. Focus your value for them. If it's not relevant to them, they're not going to stick around and listen. Talked a little bit about your iPhone being good quality. Well, you can get various levels of microphone, but I tell you what, for about $50 on Amazon, you can get a good mic, and there's really no reason to not do podcasting, in my opinion. But that's because I love podcasting. But you want to make sure that your audio is good. And depending on the type of podcast that you're doing, you might want to really plan and script out your show. But hey, if you're good at talking off the cuff, or it's kind of an opinion type podcast or a conversational podcast, then you don't need to be really rigorous with your planning. But one thing that you really want to consider, as with all your marketing and putting marketing out there, it's consistency. So having a consistent release schedule, whether it's every day, once a week, once a month, but it's regular. Remember back in the old days when we'd turn on TV to watch our favourite show, it was always on at the same day, at the same time. If you do that with your podcast, you always release it at the same day of the week and the same time. Folks will be looking for it and they'll be excited for when it's going to show up. Yes, having a podcast means that you have to spend some more time marketing. You've got to be promoting your podcast. You've got to utilize social media, email marketing. You've got to cross-promote with other podcasters. You've got to increase your visibility and attract new listeners. But it's all worth it. If you think back to all the other stuff that I just mentioned, all the pros about having a podcast. And really, if you can engage with your audience, encourage listener feedback and interaction, be responsive with comments and questions, which you should be doing like on social media anyway, but just taking it to a different format to audio. But if you are referencing listeners and their questions in episodes, it makes people listen because they're like, they might be answering my question this week. So I hope some of what I've said, or maybe all of what I've said, has made you go, you know what? Yeah, I need to do a podcast. I hope so, because I absolutely love podcasting. To me, it's just so easy. And it wasn't at the beginning. I was like, but you get into a flow, and especially if you're thinking about just being you, it will just make the whole thing so much easier. Now, just cycling back around or circling back around, podcasting really is a unique opportunity for your business to grow an audience, to establish authority, and to build lasting relationships with your target audience. So let me know if you're going to start a podcast. Let me know if you already have one. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a podcast, share a link below That would be awesome.